What a great way to wake up. This is the Kaweco Sport fountain pen, specifically the mint finish. It is all plastic, 100% of it, so it's very, very light and fairly durable. I wouldn't go chucking this thing across the parking lot, but it can definitely, hold up to backpack or traveling, relatively, everyday wear and tear. Could break. I mean, it is plastic, but I mean, it's pretty solid. You'd have to do a fair amount of damage to it. So you may or may not have noticed that it is a very small pen. I mean, it is a pocket pen, which means that when using it unposted, it's definitely on the small side, but when you push to post, it fits just comfortably like a normal fountain pen, and it's very comfortable that way. It's designed to be used this way, so it's not back heavy, it just rests very nicely. On the finial, there is the Kaweco, however you want to pronounce it, logo, the Kaweco, and that is pretty much the only embellishment. Everything else is pretty plain. And in silver, you also have Kaweco Sport. Now this, as you can tell, is the silver model. I do also own a black model that has black writing with the black Kaweco logo. Now you're going to notice that this one has a clip and this one does not. When you buy this pen, it does not come with a clip. You are buying just this. For an extra $3, you can buy a clip, just a plain metal, silver or gold, depending on the finish that you want. The clip comes with the Kaweco logo, Germany, since 1883. And you can see my nice fingerprints there. So you do have to buy this separately. You can also get a aluminum finish, I believe, for about $6. But the price of the pen itself is relatively cheap. You're going to find it about $25 to $28 here in Canada. In the US, you're definitely going to be able to save for $25, possibly even less. But this is the Sport plastic version, so this is the cheapest version. You can get up to like aluminum ones with really fancy finishes for like, oh boy, I think it was like $120, $130, probably even more than that. But this is the base model. And that's really all that I wanted to go for. So if you get the clip, basically you can just slide it on wherever, which is kind of nice. You can have it literally wherever you want. Just kind of slides on there. Versus a standard fountain pen when you're stuck with it. So that's kind of cool in the sense that you can do that, a little bit of customization, but it also kind of sucks that you do have to buy something else. Unscrewing the pen, you have the standard Kaweco nib, all steel. This one in particular is a fine. The black one that you see behind there is the extra fine, but when you are actually writing, you cannot tell the difference between the fine and extra fine. They basically write the exact same width. And on the feed, it's upside down, you have the Kaweco logo as well. And unscrewing the body, I have a short international cartridge in here. This one in particular is Visconti Bordeaux. It does not come with a converter or anything like that. It does come with one cartridge in the body of the pen. You can buy cartridges, Kaweco does make them, or you can use your own, or what most people would do is you can put some silicone grease around these threads here, and because the body is all plastic, you can fill this entire thing with ink and then just screw it back onto the pen. But I don't really go through enough ink, especially in these pens, to warrant eyedropper converting this, so I usually stick with international cartridges. You can purchase an additional Kaweco squeeze bladder cartridge for $3. I did that only so that I could talk to you guys about it and basically tell you don't do it. It is a waste of $3. These things are cheap. They barely work. When you squeeze the whole thing and you try and suck up ink, you won't ever get a full fill. You'll basically get to about here, which is less ink than what the short international cartridges will hold. And they're no good. They're garbage, so don't buy them. I mean, you can if you want to, but I wouldn't. So you screw this back on here. Now you can buy separate nibs and replace them. So if I wanted to, I could take this extra fine nib out of this black pen and switch them with the mint if I wanted to. I haven't had the desire, but you definitely can. I do have extra nib. It's a double broad nib unit, and I also have a broad nib unit. I do not like them though. I find with Kaweco, even other people's pens that I've used that are about broad or double broad, they suffer from a terrible case of baby's bottom. What that essentially means is that the nib, the very point here, won't really focus very well, but this tipping material, that little ball that you see, essentially baby's bottom means that it's over polished. So it's so smooth that when you're writing on the paper doesn't catch the ink that's flowing through the feed down to that tipping material. So essentially you're going to write and nothing will come out. You can fix that. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. But these are German-made pens. And with my experience, and you'll see in the writing sample, they actually write a pretty big line. So they're definitely not for the faint of heart. If you like, extra small writing or anything like that, I would not get these because they do write on the small side, or on the large side rather. So just a heads up there. Come on, focus now. That's better. My experience with these pens is that they do tend to run a little bit dry straight out of the box. So I do widen them, the tines here, to make them a little bit more wet, as you can see actually by the light hitting it. Basically by just drawing lines with a little bit of pressure, slow and steady. You can do figure eights, which you can see here, you'll actually get a little bit of line variation. Not a whole lot, just a teeny bit. But you do that enough and you'll force the tines to essentially separate. You don't want them to go too far, which is why you're going to want to do it really slowly. But doing that, you will widen the tines and you'll be able to get a wetter ink flow. Unless you like a drier flow, in which case these pens will actually be perfect for you. Get these going here again. It's very smooth. And it writes well pretty much in any direction. Move the paper here a little bit. But when you write very quick, as you can see there, I didn't really get much of a start. You don't get any skipping or anything other than that one issue of a hard start there, which to be honest is rare. I very rarely get that. But you can definitely tell that it's not as wet. So the feed keeps up, but it does get a little bit drier the faster that you write. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with, this nib, especially considering how cheap it is. I like to use this pen, at school or if I'm traveling, basically anywhere where I don't really care if it gets lost or broken, stolen, anything really like that. Everybody, thank you so much for watching another video. dealing with me in my pajamas as I make my morning tea. I am now going to sit down, enjoy that cup of tea, read a good book, and as always, I'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.